Welcome to the Trash Picture Show. It's the 1st of October, so Halloween is on its way, and all this month I'm going to be reviewing some of my favourite horror series and movies, and I'm going to start off with one of my favourite horror franchises of all time, The Evil Dead. I love these movies, I adore these movies, these are crazy. These came out of the 80s and were a kind of amalgamation of both comedy and horror. Now, a lot more of these movies started popping up with the likes of Phantasm and American Werewolf in London, but I think Evil Dead was one of the movies that solidified kind of the comedy horror splatstick genre. And we start off with the first Evil Dead, made in 1982, if I'm not mistaken. Essentially, three young guys, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and Rob Tappert, decided to make a feature-length version of their college short called Within the Woods. And this is a very dark and gory affair. It tells the story of five teenagers who go to a cabin in the woods and become possessed by a demonic force which was unleashed from a book. Now, the thing is that the kind of tropes of this movie is kind of turned in its head, and it's the bumbling buffoon that's left to kind of stand against the undead, and it is played fantastically by Bruce Campbell. His portrayal of Ash Williams is a horror icon. This is a very kind of straight, nerve-wrenching affair. There is some humour in it, but by and large, it is a very straight man horror. The effects haven't aged well at all. The cast could only stay a couple of shooting days, so they had to get other people to dress up as the zombies, and kind of the prosthesis and makeup was immensely rudimentary. That said, the camera work and the soundtrack is amazing. It sets the tone, and it is a very, very nerve-wrenching, dark affair from beginning to end. Do check out the original Evil Dead. Raimi later followed it up in 1987 with Evil Dead 2. Essentially, this isn't a sequel, more of a remake that has more comedy elements than kind of dark, kind of gritty kind of horror. It is essentially a remake with a cast kind of cut down. Ash Williams returns, portrayed by Bruce Campbell, and he takes his girlfriend Linda to the cabin in the woods, and the same thing happens. He reads the book, The Evil Force is Unleashed, and the owner's family members of the cabin later turn up. As I said, this is a lot more of a comedy splatstick affair. Raimi's a fantastic fan of the Three Stooges, and he inserts this into a lot of kind of gags and bits and pieces. Also, the kind of darker tone with like elements like the tree rape from the first one is totally removed, and it's just over the top gore. I mean, I think to escape the kind of the MPA and such forth, he just went overboard with the gore. There's bits where like Danny Hicks's redneck character is pulled into the cellar, and it's like he's being blended. There's so much gore. The ending is pretty awesome. Ash thinks he has kind of defeated the evil and ends up getting sucked back to the 12th century, which brings us up to this movie. This movie is awesome. Essentially, Ash, as like the last movie ended with, is in the 12th century, and he must quest for the Necronomicon, the book of the series, to send him back home. He is basically the chosen one, prophesized to banish the evil, and this seems to have totally dumped the horror element. There are some spooky bits like the pit fight with the pit bitch and some parts in the graveyard, but by and large it's more of a splatstick kind of comedy affair. There's two editions of this movie. There's one with a kind of apocalyptic ending, and two with a kind of upbeat kind of ending. Both I think are awesome. Like Raimi prefers the original ending where Ash sleeps too long, and I won't get into too much what happens, but I do like the other ending, the S-Mart ending. Campbell is kind of a lot more developed, his character in this one. He's more a jerky kind of character. A lot of people didn't like that. They were like, oh Jesus, Ash, our hero, now is a dickhead. Well, if you ask me, if you have to kill your family members, your girlfriend fight demons, fight monsters, and get sucked back to the 12th century, it's very hard to keep kind of a happy, kind of a motivated self about you. So you can't blame him too much for being a bit of an annoyance or a dullet or even a misanthrope. But yeah, Army of Darkness, awesome, kind of rounding up to the original Evil Dead trilogy. Currently, Stars has the first season of Ash versus the Evil Dead, which is a fantastic follow up to the movies. They had problems with, I think, Renaissance Pictures, so they weren't allowed reference Army of Darkness. Although I think in the second season now they are actually allowed kind of reference or mention elements from the Army of Darkness movie. But if you get a chance, do check out the series. It is balls to the wall gory. It is balls to the wall funny, and Bruce Campbell is a freaking legend. If you want to expand your love of all things Evil Dead, there is the fantastic Army of Darkness comics. These are awesome. They come in omnibuses, and the first volume has the original Army of Darkness Dark Horse comic strip, and there is some other brilliant ones. There's like crossovers where he ends up going against Herbert West from Reanimator, the Jeffrey Combs Herbert West, and then we have this Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, and I thought it was going to be trash, but it's actually really cool and really funny. You have basically Freddy. It's a sequel to Freddy versus Jason, and Freddy comes back again, tricks Jason into coming back, and Ash ends up blundering into the whole thing. The art, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. But it's substantial. It's pretty cool. The characters look like their counterparts, and it is fantastically gory, as you can see there. And the writers have really captured like Ash's kind of personality really well. So that is my overview and synopsis of the Evil Dead trilogy. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend checking it out this Halloween. So, my name's Martin. Like, subscribe, and have a good one. Take care. Bye now, and stay groovy.